I met my ex-husband 12 years ago and we married shortly after. Just before I met him, I was raped by the guy I was dating. Because of this, I had some issues with my body image and with certain sex positions. I told my ex just before we got married what had happened because he was getting frustrated with my issues. This seems to be the big turning point. He became very angry and said that if I loved and trusted him, he should be able to do those things to me, because he wasn't my attacker. For a while, he became obsessed with these things and would constantly try, then get angry or laugh at me when I said no, that I couldn't do it. Eventually he raped me. The relationship spiraled downwards. I was isolated from family and friends, was timed when I went grocery shopping, was told I was unable to show love and that I was ungrateful for everything he did for me. My self-esteem hit the floor and I hated myself and my life. Enter Jonah. 3 years ago, I met Jonah through work. To begin with, we were just friends. Then one day he overheard a phone call between me and my ex and started to ask questions. I confided in him. And I guess it started an emotional affair, though at that point nothing physical happened. Things became worse at home and my husband decided I should quit my job because he didn't approve of my colleagues. Jonah tried to convince me to leave him, but I didn't have the strength. I figured I'd made my bed and I should lie in it. Then Jonah and I had to travel to the city for work. Jonah was staying over, but I wasn't allowed to do overnight trips, so would be commuting. Basically, Jonah and I ended up sleeping together. I cheated on my husband with him. Which was terrible, I know. It's the worst thing I'd ever done, but it didn't stop me entering into an affair with Jonah. I fell in love with him and he made me feel like a human being again. Eventually, after my ex pushed me into a door and split my lip, I found the strength to leave. It would never have happened if I'd not met Jonah. I divorced my husband and moved in with Jonah. I love this man more than I knew it was possible to love someone, and he loves me. He wants to marry me. But I can't get over how we started our relationship. I feel like the worst person in the world. I hate myself for cheating, and I hate that my relationship with Jonah is built on a foundation of lies and deceit. It feels tainted and it makes me feel cheap and worthless. How do I get past this? I know I'll be downvoted to hell because I cheated, but I genuinely don't know how to move forwards. I don't mean to sound flippant, but what's done is done. I can't undo the cheating, though I wish I could. Is this just my punishment? Is this what I deserve for being unfaithful? Edit. I'm in tears reading the responses to this. I genuinely never imagined to get such forgiving, understanding replies. You're right, I still believe a lot of what my ex told me about myself, but Jonah and I are both working on those issues. I will definitely look into therapy. Jonah has already suggested that we attend, both individually and as a couple. He's so upset about my past and hates what my ex did to me. But I guess I just always felt he said those things because he loves me and sees me through rose-tinted glasses. I always believed that anyone who knew the truth would ostracize me and side with my ex. Again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I haven't cried this much in a while and I'm not entirely sure if the tears are of relief or sadness. Maybe both. It's been 35 years and I still regret leaving. I don't know why I'm posting this, but I have to get this off my chest. 60 meters, got married young at 18. I married my high school sweetheart. She was smart, funny, kind and the kind of person who could capture a room, very extroverted. I'm incredibly introverted, but we were a good match. By the time we were 25 we had 2 small children and I was happy with how my life was then. My wife got a new job and she was excelling, getting promotions, working later. I think you see where this is going. You are wrong, by the way. I cheated on her. While she was out working late to make money to support our children, I was building up a resentment towards her. She wasn't home to make dinner and I never bothered to learn to cook. Washing would pile up for a few days because I didn't do it, and I was doing the school run because she was at work. But I never voiced how I felt, and every day my beautiful wife would come home I would put a front on and pretend everything was fine when it wasn't. I know if I had told her how I felt, she would have listened, but I didn't. I met a woman at a work thing and we spoke over the phone constantly for a few weeks. Things turned inappropriate quickly and I didn't stop it. I wrote my wife a birthday card telling her how much I loved her and she was an amazing person then too. Weeks later walked out on her. And the worst part was she never screamed at me or yelled. She just stood there and watched me take my things whilst my children were in the other room completely oblivious to what was going on. She just stood there silently crying. I broke the best person in my life. She ended up losing her job because she couldn't manage the school run or extra child arrangements. So my alimony payments had to go up and I resented her for that. Looking back on it now, how selfish could I be? The women who I betrayed and was now single-handedly raising my children needed more money to care for them. I saw them every other Saturday, but that was it. My AP and I fizzled almost immediately. She didn't want something with me and she really didn't want something with me when I was almost broke from paying alimony. My wife was and still is the strongest person I know. She never let me know how much I hurt her, but I heard her crying herself to sleep every night I had to stay over for something with the kids. I spent years resenting my wife for stealing my money when in reality I knew it was my fault and I still loved her but was too proud to say, and even though I left, it was her who eventually filed for divorce. Because every time she asked me if I had gotten a lawyer, I would say I'm not ready. Eventually she filed. Because she said it was too painful. I said some really awful things to her when I was angry, like I didn't love you for a long time. I stayed for the children and every time she just nothing back. I'll never forgive myself for that. She wanted to try make it work. She fought for me every day for months and I wasn't interested. She loved me even when I hated her. Then she met Mark. He was older, wiser, and he loved her the way I should have loved her. He was and is a good man to her and my children. Watching someone else love the person you were supposed to love forever is quite possibly the worst thing I've ever had to do. I blurted out I love you to her 2 weeks before her wedding and she looked at me and said, then you should have fought for me, because I would have loved you forever if you'd let me, on the day of her wedding. I sat outside the church in my car, telling myself I would object the wedding, but I didn't. That was 30 years ago and seeing that written in front of me now is just as painful as it was hearing it all those years ago. Having to watch her with him all these years has been my punishment, and I've had the odd relationship. But nothing serious. I will never forgive myself for what I did. It should have been our 42nd wedding anniversary today. I don't think anyone survives infidelity entirely. I think you learn to live with it. My wife, 41, and I, 39, have been married for 12 years. We have 2 amazing kids. I love my wife very much. She's been my best friend since I was 15 years old. I remember in the weeks before our wedding, she was spending more time out with her coworkers than usual. She was not acting like herself. Something felt off. I started to feel paranoid. I felt so much shame for even thinking that maybe my wife-to-be was not being faithful just weeks out from our wedding. I remember asking her if there was something going on with her and one of her coworkers. She said there was not. They were just friends. I believed her and didn't really dwell on it. 4 years ago, 8 years and 2 kids into our marriage, in a therapy session together, she shares that she did have a physical relationship, on 2 occasions, with her coworker in those few weeks before we got married. I was devastated, blindsided. My heart was broken. There's part of me that really felt like I needed to know the details. So I asked for the details. She said they didn't have sex. It was all making out, over the clothes, under the shirt kind of stuff. It was hard to hear. But a part of me has never fully been satisfied with the details of the story that I got. I hate that. I feel so much shame for still feeling that. There is more to the story. At the time of this infidelity, in the weeks before the wedding, she confided in her parents and sister about what happened. I am not sure exactly what everyone's response was, but I know her father's advice was to not tell me. So she didn't, and the wedding went off as planned. Not only did my wife wait 8 years to tell me about the infidelity, the rest of her family have all held this secret from me. A. Family that I was very close to, Sunday dinners, vacations, family parties and gatherings. They have known me since I was 15 years old. The thought of people sitting at my wedding, listening to me make my vows, watching me join my life with my best friend, knowing that just a few weeks prior she was messing around with another man makes me feel sick, foolish. It's hard to look at wedding pictures and celebrate anniversaries since then. When the truth finally came out, I don't recall any of the people that held the secret from me apologizing or trying to make amends. The dinners, the vacations, the family parties, all continued as usual. My wife and I did seek professional help to work through these issues. We worked on this for a few months in therapy. We went to a couples retreat to learn stronger communication techniques. We put in the work. It helped, but I just don't think I have processed it completely. The years since finding out have proven to be especially difficult. I have had 2 heart attacks, pretty healthy, but I have spasms that can cause heart attacks. A non-cancerous brain tumor that took the hearing in one ear. Treatment-resistant depression, that I have battled for almost 20 years, has worsened to the point that I had to leave my career as a teacher after 16 years. It's been tough. My wife travels for work a few times a year for conferences and trainings. A recent trip she went on triggered a lot of these unprocessed feelings around the infidelity. On these trips, she's meeting new people, going out to dinner, and having those deep, academic discussions you have when you are on these types of trips. All of this is healthy, important stuff for adults to have. I try to not bother her with my stuff when she's on these trips. We check in each day, she talks to me and the kids, normal stuff. One night I was really struggling. I wanted to talk to her. She's my partner, my best friend of almost 25 years. So I called her a few times that evening. No luck. I think to myself, she'll see my calls and get back to me. She doesn't. Try again in the morning. No luck. When I do talk to her later in the day, she says she was out late with her friends and colleagues. She says she didn't check her phone or even see my calls. That may be true. It probably is the truth. But I hate that there's this doubt that I don't 100% trust my partner. When she returned from her trip, I shared how I was feeling. She listened. She said she understood why I would feel hurt and doubtful. But the hurt, doubt, and shame about doubting my wife is eating me alive. I believe the feeling of being betrayed by my wife and my in-laws has been festering under the surface of everything the past few years. No amount of therapy, individually weekly for years, discussion, and or personal/couples work seems to be enough. I know I am attaching my shame to a decision she made. I am the one that is making myself feel shameful about this situation, not her. So many relationships have gone through infidelity and come through the other side stronger. I feel like a whiny child. I feel like I should be stronger than this. But I'm not, and it hurts. Feels good to write it all out. Keeping it inside isn't doing me any good. I love my wife, but the shame that doesn't seem to get any better. How have you healed from past infidelity and family secrets?